Okay. Just adding a couple of things here. Although it's early, I have already done one podcast today, and it actually seemed like it was kind of doing well. I'm on this. Um, yeah, I have more time now, and it's kind of good that I'm doing this at this time of day now because then it's a bit of time between this and the next thing that I have in my day. Oh, I meant to. I'm just going to do one other thing quickly, though. I don't know how much it'd be noticed in this lighting and in general. And I've only worn this, I guess, in the podcast yesterday, but I think I'm going to wear something different today. Or you can call this clean enough or wash it before next week. But just for visual reasons, especially. Okay. It practically looks the same, but different. Okay. And I do realize, it's just that those are distracting a little bit. I do realize that, well, it's a bit of an interesting, yeah. By the way, I should state, um, and still do, but yeah. Okay, so let's hop into this one. The dog got treating. It's one of those ones with the extra. I don't know. I guess it's some sort of chickens up on it. I don't want people to misjudge this, though. Since it's, and truth be told, not a very strong one. I'm thinking of putting it out for now until I use this, or until I'm thinking of putting it out for now while I'm doing this. Okay, we're getting settled in here for the long haul. So I have two main topics on my mind, and then we can branch out as well. And I'm just trying to decide. I've kind of got some things off my chest. Um, I guess, yeah. I mean, again, the one topic, and I haven't been rolling very long, but glad to have someone just tuning in now. The one topic is something I sometimes talk about on here, but each time with a slightly different approach, perhaps. Like, I can't remember, even though it was just half an hour ago, or less actually, a little less, something made me think of a song. I'd love to do it, but I have mixed feelings. A lot of it might be language I don't know because it's chapstick if you're curious, chapstick if you're not. It's I don't know if it's a Scottish tune or a Gaelic tune, or I think we could say, I'm bad at geography, but I think we could say British and cover both of those and then some. Basically, it's got language slang in it, which I might not be that familiar with. Um, I'm just going to quickly type something to somebody. Um, so yeah. Anywho, I was thinking about, um, and actually, I saw them in July. Um, and this is the thing. This is the other interesting thing, kind of to think about is you never. And I mean, this happens all the time. You never know when somebody familiar with you is going to see things. Um, if they're, I mean, like you say, I mean, again, I was anonymous, and also sometimes you just got to get a feeling out, and this is a platform for doing so. I mean, I mean, I tried to speak in an understanding manner about what I was speaking about, like as in, I kind of understood, and I must have put that out somehow because I just want to make sure the dog's not going to get it. I know he's got the thing he's got right now, but I don't know if you're seeing it again. There's one there. I had two in my pocket. Oh, right, I put the other one up there. Okay. Anywho, it's over here with the bed stick. Um, yeah, I'm just kind of being a little bit, whatchamacallit, critical of myself. I was also early. I wasn't thinking, no, I mean, seriously, I just wanted to express what it was more about the song, honestly. And I would hope that if the particular individuals, if they happen to see it and it's them that's involved in it, I would hope that they would think, you know what, he is kind of right, though. We did pick it very quickly. Maybe we should have given a bit more thought to it. I mean, none of us are right in what we do all the time. You know, we are human. We will make mistakes. Um, and yeah, whoops. Um, I'm also thinking about how I was watching a fellow YouTuber, and there was a guy, an individual, I think was a guy, in his chat that was asking all kinds of curious questions. Just you could call them philosophical questions, like what's your favorite this, what's your favorite that, what do you think about this? Um, to be quite honest, I mean the guy was the person I'm talking about. He plays mostly classical music. That the one whose video he was on, he plays mostly classical music. He does look at his comments. He does chat with people. Um, but I think that I'm. In fact, I don't think, and I know it seems very much like it in this, but I promise I'll settle down. It's just part of the kind of making sure I have what I want around me and just settling into things. But basically, yeah, I think this person was coming across as more curious and more ADHD than I am, or at least in that moment. I mean, I'm still waking up, but I woke up with some energy and things to think about, um, kind of going on in our world, I guess you could say. But I mean, that can mean we all live amongst the whole world, and we don't just hear about what goes on in the place we live. I mean, but sometimes we might wish to, because sometimes it's a better contrast than what's going on in other places. But we don't have to talk much about that. That's not really what this is about. But anyway, so basically, early, I guess, kind of more midsummer, I ran into a couple people that I knew from an open mic thing I used to go to. They were actually in a performance. And then after the performance, it was kind of neat in a way, but kind of also not, because so often in this particular festival, people do get to chat with the performers afterwards. They come back out on stage and people can line up and chat with them. But they were pretty much playing music. They said a little bit about the performer and that, but they're pretty much playing music. They closed the curtain completely, and it was a cool curtain. It was not like it was kind of ground level, and it just kind of rounded to close it. I saw a website recently, and I think I had to press the up arrow or whatever before this thing would open. The way it was designed, it was kind of cool. It was kind of annoying. you know, some people may say the same about me, and they may or may not be right. That's good, but well, they'd be right about the cool thing. And I'm not going to say I'm not annoying sometimes, but mostly I think I'm a delight. You know, not to toot my own bugle, but or sound egotistical or whatever. But a healthy dose of confidence. I mean, I know what I'm bringing to the table, and I know who I am. I guess that's what it is. But anywho, so basically, but then afterwards, we would buy our bikes, and we were talking with a couple people who may or may not have known the performers. My spouse didn't, and why I mention this is it kind of fits with the topic. But then this song that randomly came to mind. If there was a reason, I'm not remembering it now. Like I say, it wasn't that long ago, but I'm not remembering it now. But I do associate it with certain people. Marty may have even been one of them. Did they ever know each other? Because I think Marty was one of them. Anywho, point of the matter is that I know I'm doing this over here right now, but oh well. Is that yeah, I thought of one of these individuals when I thought of the song, and then I thought about when I last saw them. And yeah, my spouse had opinions, as people sometimes do when they go to a performance. It's not always positive, or not always not always someone's cup of tea. And I really thought it would be, and I didn't hate it, certainly not as much as my spouse, but I was a little underwhelmed by it, and or like I don't want to be overwhelmed, but I I didn't know as many of the songs as I thought I'd know. It was mostly specific to a certain singer, which is quite old. I'm still surprised that Hank actually knows a couple of the songs, and one of them was kind of his favorite, possibly two of them or more. Anywho, point of the matter is that and like the one lady, this was after the show outside, like I say, and the performers weren't around at the time, but the one lady did kind of, and it's true with this particular citywide event that we were having, or pretty much citywide event that we were having. I'm not going to say our city, but it's true that some stuff, it's a bit more of a, you don't know for sure, but you're willing to go and hopefully enjoy what you see. And some people get to do it for free because they're volunteers, and other people don't because they're not. And but with this one, it is true. It was pretty obvious what it was about. So I kind of do understand her response, whether she knew the performers or not. She's kind of like, "Why did you come to it then?" You know. Uh, and I don't remember if I admitted or not, but I said, "Well, I made." By the way, I thought it was funny. I said, "Yeah, sometimes I do roll early. Early, it's like get out and get to work. I got things to talk about." you know, I am thankful that I have a bit of income happening now, but still not living my greatest potential. I don't feel like still not. I try on here. Sometimes I feel like I succeed, and sometimes I don't. I mean, and sometimes I feel like I succeed even when nobody else is here to see me do so. Uh, but I know that I have. But it's always nicer when you can, whether you want to. I mean, you could call it success. You could call it just a enjoyable podcast. And what helps is having people, watching and to chat with. It is true. Um, I might just bring this here. I mean, maybe stable enough. I mean, I don't never got that much in, but uh, anywho, as I try to be careful with the coffee next to the computer. I don't actually drink coffee with beers very often. I do realize that. Well, that's because I sometimes I have some in the morning, sometimes just while I'm eating, and sometimes I kind of forget that I'm also drinking coffee while I'm eating, and then I don't know, because sometimes I find that my coffee is better with food, and then after a nap later. So, anywho, so but I did get to see them, and on one side of things, it was nice, and I even got one of them's phone numbers. Uh, Truth be told, I wasn't really trying that hard to reconnect with the one. I wasn't. You could almost say with both of them, but kind of the one. And um, so I mean, if you're not trying, then very likely, or even less likely that you'll succeed. Whether it's making connections or in life. I mean, I can't sit here and tell anybody of any. Well, I think that it is one of those things. I mean, everybody's different, has different journey, and I don't like to put an age on things, but it is true that the longer you live, the more experience you get with certain things. That's what I'll just say that. And so, um, there was something kind of specifically that made me think to say that. At the moment, I can't think of what it is. I'm just going to turn this off briefly. I'll probably want it on again shortly. I know it's not central, but close enough. Until I have to plug this in. I'm going to sit here, I think, because I'm comfy mostly, and but it doesn't mean that the fans over there. Anywho, but let's have some fans here, man. And tap security. Anywho, so um, so yeah. Then anyone there who wants it has it. I wish that I could play a video. I mean, he might not care if I played it at the same time. I don't know if it would be distorted, but I'd hear it fine. I don't know if I could play a video, or it's a lot. The guy's stream is live, and so even when it's not, it may or may not have captioning options. But he was asked a really great question. So when I watch, and he's pretty good, like I say, at seeing the chat as well. So when I watch it back, his, you know, I could add it to the chat too, and it may or may not just naturally come up. I know I've asked the opposite, and I think in trying to be positive and not just focus on hard stuff, I probably asked both, but I'll put that there as well. Anywho, so yeah, but the one guy, honestly though, it's that well, and then that phone comped, um, and I haven't replaced it yet because I haven't hugely needed to, and other priorities, but and it was kind of like one of the last 3 or 4 performances in the run, and it was a little after that, I think, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks after things had finished up with that, and he hadn't gotten back to me once, but I do know I was slightly surprised that he was alive because I believe he'd had some sort of well, maybe he had a brain tumor and he got it taken out, or something. I mean, certain things like I don't think it would have been a hemorrhage because that's quite serious. But you might be able to survive having one. I'm not sure, and I don't know the difference between a hemorrhage and an aneurysm. But but No, you're not having either. Just right about me. But I seem to remember that he had or thought that he had such years ago. Again, I guess like even Bobby Joe, people can survive it, and um, and that, but he was older, and I'm not. Lots of older people do use social media and do text and this and that. A lot don't, and I just got the sense that he was one that didn't. And I didn't really quite realize that when, you know, I tried to reestablish connection. It's not somebody I was hugely close with, but I used to go to weekly open mics, and so did he fairly often. So, I got to know him there a little bit. We chit chat a little bit, and I saw him perform. I was often kind of near the bottom of the list because it filled up fast sometimes. And what they would do is they would have a main performer most of the time, and then so it wasn't really equal, but whatever. I think it's a pretty common way for doing these kind of things, and then they would open up the stage to anyone else who'd signed up after that. So sometimes I wasn't performing until 9 or 10 at night, which isn't super late, but he may or may not have worked in the morning, and may not have been a night owl. And if he'd been there for 2 or 3 hours already, anybody really. I mean, there were a lot of people that didn't see me perform for that reason. But you know what? I always got there. I always got there pretty close to when it started because I loved going there so much back then. And like I say, the list just filled up fast. Some people would sign up together and then also want to do something on their own. Um, it was a pretty popular place. That's the best way I can explain it. Um, but I think I have one of his CDs actually. But so I mean that's an example, and I don't want to say I don't get along with religious people, but I didn't know that he was religious, and maybe he wasn't then. I don't know. I mean, I just very well might not have known, but I did hear him say "God bless" or whatever, something to that effect, um, when we connected in person. And I didn't introduce my spouse as my spouse either, um, and I mean, hey, that's not a bad thing to say either, really. But it slightly surprised me, I guess, just because I'd never really heard him talk like that before. Um, Anywho, so you know, I've talked about it quite often, not quite often, but somewhat often on here, and so I want to, you know, I'd love to hear from others. Your thoughts, um, because yeah, I would. That's why. Um, I don't know what that is, but anyway, just the other YouTuber that I'm following, I have it open in a tab, and he's put some symbols in a chat that look like, I don't know. Oh, you know what? They're supposed to look like his dog. I bet you. That's not how I first saw it. And I don't. Oh, the other one. Okay. It's very specific though. It's just like the face and ears, but it wasn't super obvious. Anywho, but anyway, I was kind of reminded of that connection. So that's an example. I'd also like to take a moment to sit right there and tell you it became the Prince of a Town Cowbell there. Just kidding. I know I'm white, but whatever. It was a good show. I enjoyed watching it from time to time. It probably still would if I went to do so. Yeah, you can find it on YouTube, of course, right? I don't know if I want to mention that and then get rid of it. I wish I drove because even though it's a public community garden, and it seemed like there was plenty of it, and it does grow back, although the seasons are changing. And this I don't know. I could have maybe, but then we were at a park. Well, I could have done it quickly, but I may have been blocking it, especially if there's other cars parked there. This is parking on the but I don't drive, so today it'd be hard to get to otherwise. And not a great deal. But I did tell him about the job posting. But this comfrey stuff, unfortunately, kind of went yucky. Let's just say that. I hadn't. I thought it looked like a pretty durable plant, and I really was hoping to give it a try with my arthritis and stuff, but it isn't. um, so I'm just going to get rid of it, and then I'll be back. I only had it for like 3 weeks. I kept putting it off. I almost used it. Well, when I didn't necessarily embed it last night. I almost used it last night, but I thought I don't want to have some sort of reaction before my plan today. I'm already dealing with an on and off cold. Stiff joints. I found the chair is not that comfortable there. I'm very tempted to bring a cushion, but at the same time, um, I don't want to be like the only one. Others may be thinking it too, but and I suppose if I did this time, the next couple times, uh, somebody might. I mean, people would say, "Well, consider your comfort." I mean, I have my hoodie behind me, and it's fairly thick hoodie. Last week, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to forget it there. I wouldn't want to stand out like that, and also, I could take a Tylenol or use muscle rubs. Um, but that does inspire something else. So last week I went to the first one of this workshop series. That night I had a dream. Um, I was with my in person. I was with a relative. I've talked about this a little bit, but maybe I didn't. I didn't say it this way. Um, who is better now after a bit of distance from each other. Um, and there's still worries that she will fall back into her old ways, and to get past you know hearing certain things from her, but it does connect in a way. Like, I'm not otherwise hugely worried about it. People either like me or they don't, or love me or they don't. And if they don't, they might not be giving themselves enough time to try to. You know, I don't think it would take much time, but yeah, it takes more than a few seconds. Somebody popping in and saying, "No," like I don't understand why one would do that. But anyway, um, so the dream I had, after being in this, and I should state that it's been a while since I've done something like this or been in something like this. Uh, you know, online posts a little bit different. Um, I think I said the other thing I said was that covered that, and I said the other thing kind of in this. So it's, I don't know what the other say, but as far as what was I saying? Oh, right. So this dream really reflected that experience. You know, I've always said, or often felt like I don't, thankfully, well, I don't want to get too much into even the topic because it just, but for me, I think we can all kind of shape our dream reality. I mean, some of us just won't dream very much when we're sleeping, and I, in some ways that's kind of nice because you want to be sleeping, you know. But sometimes dreams are kind of nice too, and if your reality and what you're feeding yourself, not so much in the sense of food, um, is, let's say, healthy. You know, other words could also go with it. Then that's what you think about. You know, we will sometimes have difficult things happen in life, and I'm just curious. Did he touch this in the night? Yep, I think so. And just adjusting the heat there. Um, such as having a toxic family member, right? And who would sometimes project, certain style or something wouldn't be them. Therefore, it's actually really common that people do this. Some people know better, or you know, don't do it as much. But we're all looking for ways to relate to people. But our minds are also very much trying to focus on the differences and you know trying to, sometimes I would say, almost trying to look for something to to certainly, like I say, some more than others, to feel iffy about. And sometimes we won't have to look very much. It'll be very obvious in there. But I do think that sometimes I do feel that sometimes in general, people with each other, they sometimes misjudge. Um, just noticing something else. I thought I was. Oh, yes, here. I don't mind most of the background, but that was a bit distracting to me. So, anywho, because I don't even know if I did it last time when I was doing a video about random stuff, if I mentioned it, and I've started to do it now, I will finish off about that as well. So we were in like a college or university classroom. I don't remember really what was being said. It's actually interesting because I was watching something on YouTube, and the guy was a parent, and that was very apparent. Although he was, the biggest focus on his family was about them being vegan, which I'm not strongly vegan, but we don't have to talk about that. I mean, I do have I kind of do have a limited diet. I'm picky. I have ARFID, so I just try and eat healthy, try and eat balanced, and I agree with some things that vegetarians, vegans may say, but we don't have to get into that topic. It's yeah, it can get a little um and a lot of them, no matter what you say, they turn it to bring it back to the topic. So let's just not even go there. But anyway, uh, and when I think back about it, that's who was in it. Like my parent was not in it. My one parent, who was kind of this way, was not in it. But I had seen her 2 days in a row for the first time in ages, knowing that I'm also going to be seeing her for the next few weeks. And I guess it was like a bit of a flashback from the past. I've also, I was talking with G this morning actually about how, I was talking about how, about the whole degree topic, and getting ahead in life and this and that. Um, so, and, and being amongst a bunch of people. And what was interesting, and this is not something I would ever have done, okay, but what was interesting, and it wasn't me either, actually, and I don't think it was anybody in the same video that the other guy was from, but they were sitting beside each other. And yeah, I do think it was that guy, ironically. It's interesting what sticks in their mind. I mean, I don't know why he stuck in my mind other than that I'd recently saw him. Anywho, and one of the students, and this was weeks before hearing that Chris and his wife were thinking about, I don't know if it's a Halloween party they want to go to, but, and again, that's another topic, it's coming up and this and that, but, and it feels too early to talk about Christmas, but, and I don't like Christmas for some reasons, but I like it for other reasons, and I like it more than another upcoming holiday. But anyway, point of the matter is the guy was in a onesie, and I wasn't even thinking of that either. The guy was in a onesie, although I may have been thinking about another one. And I think I woke up before the possibly judgmental parenting started. But I've been thinking a lot about that, just in a general context, about judgment prior to having that dream. So you see how that got shaped, right? And then last night, I'll just say this. I mean, thankfully, I am more connected than some people. Some people, but some of them, they don't use social media. And I'm not just talking YouTube. I mean, I don't use a lot of other social media, but I do use some. Uh, some people just don't, whether it's their age and they just don't feel like they can grasp it or what it is, they just don't. And, uh, and they don't, if you don't have a workplace and you're not in a course and you aren't involved in a lot of activities, you're not going to be connecting with a lot of people. And at this point in time in life, I'm not in some of those things. But I do connect online with people. And sometimes it's just, very occasionally, I mean, I have some regulars, but sometimes they're not that regular on here. And then there's, the newbies. Um, and then on the other site, I don't even know if I ran into the same people more. I think once or twice, but not as much as I would think, considering how much right now, it's not even opening properly on here since last night. And I hope that fixes soon. Um, but basically, but I have a few people that I talked to there, and just yesterday, I actually did a podcast with one of them, um, and she probably knows lots of people with the first initial C, so let's just say that. Um, Anywho, but basically, and I'm reverbalizing it because I told G before I left work. It just was something that I shared. I said that I'd had this dream, and something like, what did I do? This app does not want to open, even though it does say permitted at the bottom. I don't think it did before. Anyway, I had this dream, and I was in a big area. I don't know. I can't remember if it was a home or what, but there was a few different rooms, and there must have been about 30 to 50 people in it, maybe even 60. I know that's a bit of a gap, but I didn't count them all. um, and uh, thankfully, although I suppose we all probably sometimes dream in sound, I didn't. And like, I don't mind talking about dreams and analyzing dreams. No, but it wasn't as noisy as you would think it would be with that many people. And sometimes in person, you can get 15, 20 people together and it's not all that noisy. And some people, that wouldn't even phase them. Me, I can be a little bit sensitive to noisy crowds sometimes, which is why as a performer, smaller venues when I can get to them, um, and and that kind of thing. Um, but I was pretty much going through. I want to get this out before somebody tunes in and just hears this part and thinks I'm talking about reality. Like, there were some things about it that kind of connected you know, to uh, what I'm going through in my reality, but I would never have found. I mean, like I said, this is a pretty big group, but it's not that big, and I would never have found myself probably in a big thing like that. I'd also, I think, seen the email about not healing at his house, but anyway, the point of the matter is, I was going through all the rooms, and I was going through all the rooms and with all the people, and I was kind of like uh, processing and observing and taking it all in, but I didn't really find myself talking to anybody that I can recall. I mean, I don't think I was having the dream for more than half an hour. I don't think I was. And it was right after I woke up, although sometimes still my recall isn't what it used to be. But I don't think I associated. I know maybe there was a couple almost. I don't even remember recognizing anybody. But it kind of seemed to mirror a little bit being in this new workshop series and how, I'm amongst a bunch of people. A few of them are familiar from another similar group there. I'm not saying where, but and we did have a now it's want me to sign in after many, many tries. And I don't know what to think of that. Hmm. But whoops. Um ah Fark. Sign in and me and my spouse's name, although I'm the only one that's ever used this, and now I've accidentally signed in as my spouse's password. So when it asked, which when I no, it's not. This thing's being stupid. It's kind of working, but it's being stupid. Anyway, point of the matter is that okay, uh, thankfully I thought it almost clicked wheels. Well, that's very annoying. That is super duperty duperty annoying. Yeah, I like it sometimes. But my only device that I use my one social media on, I used to use my cell phone on the deck, and I think maybe some Wi-Fi messed it up or whatever, and now it doesn't get any internet connection. Um, but I always had mine on here, and I first it was asking me to sign in, then I accidentally clicked something, then it signed in to my spouse, who, like I say, has never used it on here, I don't think, or not in a long, long time. And now, I don't want to get into details too much, but now when I drop down to say pick another account to use, it has the business page, the music page, a page that we created ages ago, like I guess it's a profile or not quite a profile, but not you know that we never use, and not mine. And I don't even see a spot to add one. So that's very annoying. And it might be because there's too many. I'm hoping for a moment here that if I maybe restart my device, it'll revert back to default, essentially. So I think we're going to do that because I'd like to see if that's what happens. It just wasn't it wasn't opening without crashing last night a whole bunch. Anyway, point of the matter is that there's other people that have mentioned in this group that they're hoping to make connections with people as well. Um, so but unfortunately, I just don't think that the opportunity is really there. Even though it's because it's not a consistent thing. Even though it's once a week for 4 weeks, um, it's not set up for a lot of one-on-one. And one person even said, I don't want to get too particular, but she lost two partners, and to passing away. And she'd even said that she hopes to do more group activities and meet more people within the group. I don't, there's a very short break. It's a 2 hour meeting thing to begin with. Um, you know, I'm happy to be going to it and that, but yeah, there really isn't much opportunity. Um, Again, I've kind of talked on this topic a little bit in other videos, not super recently, but not super long ago. You can probably find those by the title for the most part. And I don't know what else to say. Like, my one person I know was saying, I think he was saying it's part of his autism, that unfortunately If he's not around somebody or seeing something that makes him think of somebody, he doesn't. And I didn't think I related to it, but maybe I do. Because, I want to have that on and off mess up. But I'm thinking I want to sit over here for the fan. Maybe I do because I seem to have a bit of the same struggle. I guess the dog is down here. Okay, now we got camera. If it wasn't for those two or three things, I might be able to actually add mine in. Oh, that's super annoying. So it's very interesting that we talk about this here because I might need to this channel was active for a while, then it was dormant for a while. It's been active again for a while. We've gotten some new subscriptions. I go back to there's a lot on YouTube. I mean, it's a way to make sense of it, and it does kind of. I mean, as far as like why some of the videos are quieter and this and that. I mean, there's just, and people have their lives too, and sometimes their lives. As long as it's their material, and they're doing things, respectfully, then great. I'm gonna turn that other light on, by the way, because. Okay, so anyway. This is hopeless. I almost don't want to look at this device right now. It's annoying me so much. I wouldn't mind looking at that chat a little bit more, but I also have that other device. I don't know. He's going to want to look at it, but looking at it's not going to change this. I don't think. A miracle might, but now it's being stupid to do that. But I don't think those really happen very often. Not in my life. I mean, there could be small miracles that I just really don't pay attention much to, but they do happen. But most of the time they do not. I'm not going to say that everything's terrible, but certainly not many miracles. Dog settle down again. Good. I'm slightly want to reload this, but it should be updating just fine. Yeah, the video I did this morning, like I say, I don't think it did, but it like it sometimes does, but it may not have shown the one chat that it got, but it certainly had, some good numbers at the top, and some people were sticking around for a bit. So, and the lighting wasn't great, but either they liked it or they were trying to get a better look at who they were listening to. I don't think it was that dark and terrible, but or that dark and whatever. But anyway, that annoys me. I might use that as a, because that's giving me so many different things. It really can. It really can. And what I just went through on that one device is an example, I would think. But we'll see. I think that the only thing they're going to suggest is to restart it or hope that eventually it's back. I mean, what else could one do? I mean, I can't just switch. So that's really annoys me. But anyway, I don't need to keep going on about that. It also is a bit annoying that I think actually, and I've been looking at the screen pretty constantly, and I think that I've only seen like 2 indications of people watching at the top, but mostly in this hour, there's not been. So, I mean, I'm doing as well, and, I'm keeping the momentum on. I'm doing as well as I possibly can given that. But actually, I probably will still be able to get that. See that. I'm doing as well as I can given that. It's not super motivating, though. I know some people may enjoy it afterwards and such, but yes, it's not exactly motivating. And so I might wrap up soon. But before then, Yeah, that's the guy I watched last night. I can't remember. There was something I saw, and I think it's all based. But you express yourself for a living is the title of his video. Or somebody say, "This is how I found your video." Uh, and I mean, we all do. We all do. Some of us feel the need to do it more, though. But yeah, it also somewhat saddens me, and maybe I'll be surprised. But it's someone, with this chapter of my life, just with this chapter. I mean, if you'd asked me a few years ago, I'd probably say, no, I'm doing all right, though. But, with that thing that had happened and just kind of the way things are right now, it's a little disappointing that I think that I may not make. But you know what? I'm also very thankful to be involved at the place and um, going to the occasional activity and event and getting to know people. And in certain contexts that takes time. When you don't have a mutual connection, and you don't, like, you meet each other at something and then you don't know how to connect again until you next see them, and who knows how long that would be, right? It's it can be hard. Like, I am not surprised that one person was hoping to get back to work. She was on disability. I think she maybe had some health problems in general, and she was also bereavement, but so kind of all worked out at the same timing. But my goodness, she was so lonely. I could just tell. I could just tell by her energy, by her, um, how she, yeah, well, how she spoke, her sadness that she was showing, and it's and you know, I'm gonna try my best to make it through the next three of these things, and I think my ride knows there's three more. Um, and I did not bad with the first one, but it's hard. Let's just say with this type of topic, and when people are sharing deep things, it's I often say I live in the deep end a bit, and I can handle it to a point, but it's when it's in person, you want to maybe take that extra step towards comforting them, and it's just I don't want to say it would be inappropriate, although some may for sure. But and of course, if one person does it, then a bunch of other people might offer it, and then it's like a hug fest. Not that that's a terrible thing, I suppose, but it would feel awkward probably. And also other people might want it too. And what if they don't all get? Then it's not equal. All those that want, you know what I mean? Um, After one meeting, not with this workshop series, but kind of connected to the place and the person I was just referring to vaguely. Afterwards, we were all talking. Three of us were talking outside of the place, and we gave each other hugs, and that was nice. And one of them gave me a ride home, and I haven't heard from her since. She hasn't seen my messages though either, so I mean, it's not that she's purposely ignoring them. I don't know what's going on. She sounded like she could use a friend, and at least the messenger thing was at work, I think. But yeah, that's so strange. So, but yeah, it can mean so many different things. So, um, I might, although I have a few things I want to watch. There's a part of me that feels like I might want to watch back if I can figure out which one it was. My video where I kind of talked about that writing assignment, because that probably me having done it to the best of my ability. And when I look at what they have planned for us this week, this might be the group thing. I'm not sure, and it's gray background, not black. But I don't know why it's not just white, and it could be bigger. But so I mean, this will take some time because it's actually takes up most of the page. But they might not do it. Like they might not do that last bit there and some of the repetition. And then this might take like 50, and then general talking, and then notes. So yes, I very much think that, and people are a bit more familiar with each other now. I very much think that this writing exercise that was suggested. It wasn't like we had to do it, but was suggested. I really think like they're going to say, so anybody want to talk about how that went for them? And if I've got the energy and feel like I might want to, then I might do so. Um, and what actually I was going to do, although I believe I misplaced the pen because of the stupid. It's even getting to me. The clutter on the couch. It's slightly getting to me. But I'm a little bit more inclined to just look for another pen. um, yeah. And also, didn't I bring that other phone over here, which is especially handy? I know it was over there. Maybe it still is. But I thought I brought it over here. Okay, so I've got to look for those two things. Um, and I want to do that before I forget. I'm just going to put a little note here. Um, and then yes, actually, I almost want to do that first. But maybe I should. I don't think I'll struggle to find a pen. If I don't, if I do though, I might want to wait till closer when I'm leaving to look at that. Um, but before I wrap up, is there anything else I want to say? Sometimes an hour in is when somebody joins the chat and we have a nice chat. I gotta watch my energy though, and I do have some other things I want to do. Most of them are wants, not needs. But and again, like I say, this isn't required that I do it, but considering I might want it to be part of the group discussion. But then I also, if I don't end up doing it or doing it to the capacity I would like, I can still join in on the conversation. And I'm slightly surprised how much I kind of struggled with the exercise. Actually, I did and I didn't. I did find when I was talking about it in another podcast, though, that just in general, the concept of it, um, I did find that helped a little bit. Verbalizing it, maybe that's why. Um, but so, uh, yeah. Mhm. I mean, that was just a few days ago, I think. Um, Other than that, I kind of feel like just saying check out the other videos. I'll be right back though. I don't really want to wrap up yet because it's nice to have the company. Like I say, we don't necessarily get the phone good. We don't necessarily get into much of a conversation on in the group. I mean, I know it's only been once, but it's just not the way it's set up. It's not just a general conversation group. Like there's a bit of a structure, and that's fine. But now I'm thinking I kind of lost too. Okay, and there's a pen. That was not a good one. This one hopefully will be. So yeah, I do and don't feel like I really covered the topic. I kind of did. I kind of didn't. But as far as like other specifics in my life or other thoughts on it, it's kind of another one of those things. Like until somebody says stuff, I don't know if I have much more to say myself. So I'm not going to try to force it too much. Um, and some people could say you must love the sound of your voice. No, it to a point, but then it's kind of like, yeah. But I know that I have important things to say. I know that I have things that you know others will relate to, and that they might want to chat on. Um, and sometimes I have to get it out myself. Um, so I appreciate this platform for doing so. To do so. Um, but yeah, I am thinking. So I don't know. Part of me wants to watch this to kind of see what his answer jogs about that other question, and then come roll with it. I meant to do it beforehand. I didn't. Uh, but um, I kind of also think leaving it, especially since I am going to be interacting with others and out and about later. I'm kind of thinking leaving that until later tonight might be the better. I mean, it's not really going to it's not, but here's the other device and then use that later. That's what I've been doing. Leaving that till later might be better. because yeah, I just have other things I kind of want to focus on, to be honest, um, and kind of spread them out a bit too. I mean, like I say, there's two of us that post on this channel. So I know last night, like I just finished, and I think two nights recently, I just finished, and then he wanted to do one. He wasn't around when I was doing mine, although he may have realized I was. He's like, this morning, he says, "What are you doing with this morning? I got a notification. Maybe I saw the date wrong." But I was like, no, I wasn't gonna get back to sleep. But I should have tried though. I mean, I wasn't achy with my joints and my arthritis and that, and it may have been interesting to see where that if I could have fallen back into that dream. But I was already up for like 15 minutes by that point or so. Um, but yeah, so but he just likes to try and do it anyway. I mean, he's the founder of this channel and likes to perform and entertain as well. And unfortunately, a lot of time it's getting kind of late in the evening. But I mean, he does work during the day, so I mean, I get opportunities here and there, but he works during the day. So I mean, then it's just weekends, which is a fine time, and sometimes I feel like they go quicker than others, but still. Anywho, um, okay. So I've got a few hours still, but I think I'm gonna do other things. It's great. Part of me even wants to go back to sleep, but I really did sleep decent through the night, and I'd have to bring him upstairs. He'll be out there anyway. I just no. I now it's not what do I want to do next thing. I think I will do something else and then go and try and find that thing, write some of those answers down, just because I feel like I need a bit of a not me for a little while, and then I'll do that. Um, I almost don't. This is the device that the thing happened on. I almost don't even want to look at it, but and I guess I don't hugely have to. But yeah, I don't think telling is going to do much. Um, so I'll just put this over here, and that narrows this down. I'll focus on this. I'm really not wanting to look at this. So I'll focus on this, and I can do some of the stuff that yeah. Anyway, would have been really lovely if somebody had been here to chat, but like I say, sometimes it's just quieter on here than other times, and it is what it is. Um, so yeah, it is what it is, and huh, really caught up. Okay, cool. Next. Well, did just get a couple of likes, and we also have somebody here, so I can roll for a little bit longer. I'm not in a huge rush. If there's something you'd like to talk about based on the topic or a song request and that, I can see what we can do with that. Okay, looks like you left. Yeah. So that was not exactly motivating. But yes, that's one thing I will say, that as one gets older, you notice that connections can ebb and flow sometimes and come and go. It's another way to put it. And and um, that life goes through different chapters. I guess that's really what it is. Um, and I guess I'm just curious people's thoughts on that. And I guess that was the main kind of idea behind this video. But of course, I said the other stuff, which I do feel connected to it. So I stay kind of on topic at least. And that's up for definition whether something's on topic or not. But and I'm okay if it veers a little bit. You know, part of my ADHD style and just the way I think, the way I am. As long as it's not like a lot and gets back around to what was the main topic concept. So, anywho, but it's interesting that did because it made me think of somebody. But what is some I did just think of something else I want to check too. So before I forget that, I'll catch you on the non-video post section if you'd like. Bye for now.